Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, the strategies, and the insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today I'm very lucky to be joined by Maddie Garner of WebMO. How's it going, Maddie?
Good, good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Good. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for being on. Maddie, I would love to just start this off just by understanding a little bit better about your background and a little bit more about WebMo.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have been at WebMo for about 3.5 years. I'm our social media director and have really built the department from the ground up. We've only had the social department for about 4 years or so, maybe. But yeah, so built it from the ground up. Absolutely love it. I love marketing. I originally was inspired to get into marketing just through Apple packaging. And maybe we can talk more
Interesting.
about that later, but just like the branding side of things and how social media is like a modern way of doing that, in my opinion. So just mixing the creative and the business side of things. But WebMo as a whole, we're a local digital marketing company in Tucson, Arizona. We do everything from, of course, social media management. We do SEO, build websites, all kinds of digital ads, blogs, newsletters, really anything digital marketing we cover.
Wow, that's awesome. Cool. No, I am
Yeah.
actually interested because I know that you've got a deep passion for marketing and for supporting small businesses. So, what was it that initially inspired you to join WebMo, and how does the agency's mission align with your personal goals? And I also in here want to hear the Apple packaging story because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah. So I can be very indecisive because I can enjoy so many different things. Like I can enjoy that. Like with food, people are like, what do you not like? I'm like, not many things. But in college, I was like, I really want to major in marketing. I knew for sure that's what I wanted to major in because it's just like the combination of being creative, but also the business, like ROI side of things. I love the combination of those. And I started off my professional career at Geico, and I was in one of their management development programs. So I got really good training on really how to be a leader, how to be a good manager. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't the industry I wanted to be in. So I had a degree in marketing. I was in more of a management role in insurance. And so when I was looking for jobs, I saw Webmo and I was like, okay, like I could see myself working here because they talked about not working with just one brand, but multiple different brands. And now actually like working in the company, being able to execute different marketing strategies for all different kinds of businesses. Because we work with small, local Tucson businesses, work with a lot of businesses in Phoenix, a couple national brands. So we get a really diverse client base, which that really stretches you to learn different marketing tactics to try this strategy for this client and then try to edit it and make it new or refresh it for a different client. And I love that. And then we're also really big on teaching, on education, and I love public speaking. People think I'm crazy when I say that, but I love it. I'm like, put me in front of an audience, tell me something to talk about, and I'll do it. We're really big on that. We do free workshops for businesses and local entrepreneurs in the area. We do them all in person because we just really believe in like the personal connection. But I give workshops, our CEO gives workshops, and our junior partner does as well. So I immediately was like, okay, I definitely want to be doing that. But yeah, and so the Apple story is like picture opening, like you just ordered your MacBook, it came in, it's in this solid white box. The feel isn't the feel of a normal box. It's not just like a cardboard Amazon box. It's a whole experience. And then when you slide it up, it slowly glides. It doesn't like jankily come apart or anything. It slowly glides. And then the all on the outside, it's just solid white, but then you have the simple Apple logo. And it's just very sleek. And it's sleek from every perspective of it, from the opening of it, from
Yeah.
the feel. And then when you open it, each thing has its own place. The packaging is very unique and individual. It's not just stuff thrown into a box, it's all packaged super beautifully. And that translates to who they are as a company and how their products are. They're sleek, they're high end, they're unique, it's its own brand. And so it translates through just their packaging.
Sure.
And that to me is marketing. And that is really what we try to do on social media too, because it's a feeling. People are attracted to your brand because a lot of times, not in not all cases, but a lot of times for a feeling that they give, or it's a
Yeah.
person that you're like drawn to. So it's something that makes you understand the brand better. And I feel like Apple does that well throughout all of their products. And it goes to their website too. Very simple, clean, like professional. So
That's awesome. That's true. Apple has this insane attention to detail, right? That
yeah.
just like a lot of brands have, and you can see the brands that actually do that in a lot of the ways. Like Apple doesn't do a lot of social media or anything like, not like what some of these other brands are doing, but like even other brands that have insane. Just they look at their packaging. Dyson is a huge example of that lately. It's
Yeah.
become like the go-to like home vacuum and all that stuff. And even I think they're really big on their blow dryers now. I remember
Oh
my
yeah.
sister.
So
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, but still get that same amazing, beautiful packaging. And to your point, your larger point, like the way that things make you feel, I think a lot of these big legacy brands are starting to catch up to that and starting to understand that, hey, we can actually take our brand and if we can relate with a certain generation and speak in the way that they speak, then they'll be like that's a good way to get a good lifetime customer. You start to
Right.
see it, especially on TikTok. You'll see these brands like go one to one with it and comment in the same, it's like a Gen Z person on the other end that's
Yeah.
commenting all this stuff using that lingo, you know what I mean? So it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it so is. And thinking of how that can be very different for big brands versus smaller brands, like who are like I'm thinking of a lot of the brands that we work with, they're local Tucson companies and they don't have the name recognition that that Apple does or Dyson does. And so they have to do more of storytelling and they have to put their like CEO or more employees on to help people get branded to their or bonded to their brand. So it's like seeing brands in different stages and how they show up and represent themselves.
Yeah,
So,
it's a really
yeah.
good point. So you guys, you mentioned that you offer a wide range of services like social media management, SEO, website design, digital advertising, copywriting, review management, everything under the sun. How
Yeah.
do you guys determine the most effective combination for these services to help clients achieve their specific goals?
Yeah, good question. So we always start with an intro meeting, just talking with the client, getting an understanding of what their goals are, who's their target audience, where do they see themselves, their business in 5, 10 years, like what's short-term goal, long-term goal, and where you'll hear if you ever come to a workshop or hear our CEO talk, he'll talk about how marketing, a lot of what we do is we want to fail. If we're going to fail, we want to fail fast and fail cheap because we want, and I say that because when we're creating a strategy for a client, we're determining what types of services we offer for them. We come up with test budgets for them. So we're not going to say, hey, we're going to throw all of your money into this one thing, but we're going to start off with, we're going to try some budget here, try some budget here, try some budget here. And then we're a very data-driven company because our CEO, he is a self-claimed nerd. He used to own a tech company, but so we're very data-driven in everything that we do. So we
Mhm.
take the data from the first couple months of the services that we do and we analyze to see, okay, what worked well, what didn't, and then we put money towards what worked well, and then we take out what didn't.
Mhm.
But before even moving into those services, we have in-depth conversations with clients and say, what have you tried? What's worked for you? What are you comfortable with doing? Because if a client, one of my biggest questions when I am doing an intro meeting with a social client, I'm like, are you willing to be on camera, or are any of your employees willing to be on camera? Because that really dictates in my opinion, and just based on what I've seen, the rate of growth. Because if you show people on social media, you're so much more likely, especially
Mhm.
in video format, you're so much more likely to get more of a return, just more of a response and reach more people. But that dictates what kind of strategy we create for them. So just really asking a lot of the nitty-gritty questions and making sure that this is something that they want to or could continue even long term. But it also depends if they want to do a long term or a short term strategy. But yeah, going back to just having those intentional conversations with
Yeah,
clients.
for sure. And for anybody listening, social media is a long-term strategy. It's hard to
It
make social
is, thank
media
you.
a short-term strategy. It's one of those things, the plant you've got to water every day, just like SEO.
Amen. Amen.
You enjoy working with clients who are passionate about their business. How does this passion influence the development and execution of marketing strategies?
Oh, that's such a great question. It's so like in those intro meetings, they can be really good and we can just have a conversation, like a dialogue back and forth, and that's when the client is passionate, when they have ideas and they have thought about their brand and they know their like how they want to sound, how they want to show up. And so then that gets both of our minds going and we're like, okay, we could do this, we could do that, and it honestly it makes the process quicker. But if we meet with a client and they haven't really thought about their brand before, they're like, I just want leads, or I just want more people to call my phone, whatever. And then they're like, you guys just do whatever. We can do that, and we do that because a lot of times when we ask clients questions about if your brand was a person, what would that person be like? Or like, how do you want your brand to sound? What's the voice? Most don't know. Like they've never thought about that. They're like, I'm good at starting my business. I haven't thought about marketing.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's fun because I love coming up with different strategies like from the ground up. But that can sometimes relay as like a lack of passion.
Mhm.
And that can really, it can slow down the process because then we are like creating a lot of things, like creating their whole brand. And no, we're not a branding agency, but a lot of what we do in social at the beginning is branding. Like we
Mhm.
have to help clients determine their brand, how they're going to show up online. But I think back to conversations that I've had with clients who are passionate, just ideas flow so much easier there. And you can tell in the content. Like when we film a client who is passionate about doing social media or just their business, they don't even have to like social media, but just passionate talking about their business, that comes through in their content. And
Mhm.
people are more willing to watch those videos because there's an excitement behind it. If I was sitting here talking about like marketing, yeah, like Apple's packaging is pretty cool. Like they have white a box, or if I'm like, no, it glides when
Yeah.
it opens.
Mhm.
Like it's just a different way of like I'm getting you more engaged
Mhm.
just by talking about the same thing, but in a different way.
Uh,
So passion goes a long way. And not to say that all CEOs or business owners have to be passionate about every little thing about their business or even social media in general. But I would say if you are going to do social, then have someone who is really passionate about like your business be that face of social media because it's going to help a lot more.
That's a really good point. And the thing is that passion translates into conviction when you speak. And
Mm,
it's
mm.
a this is the same thing having trained sales teams and having been in sales in digital marketing specifically. You can usually tell when a really good salesperson's like their numbers start to drop. It's because they lose conviction in their
Mm.
company. And so that what you're talking about is amazing because there's passion and what's coming out is conviction. Hey, I know what we do is so amazing. I know what we do can help you. And if
Mhm.
somebody doesn't have that passion, that conviction doesn't come through, and people don't want to buy from people who aren't passionate and don't
Right.
have the utmost conviction that their stuff is going to work. And I love that. That's cool that it really guides your guys' thing, and you can tell you can easily. It's this is like this feeling that you have. Oh, I can tell this person's really passionate about their business, and ideas kind of
Yeah.
flow, which is really cool. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
so you're passionate about, speaking of passion, strong leadership and mental health in the workplace. How do you balance supporting your team's well-being while ensuring accountability and high performance, especially in the fast-paced world of digital marketing?
Yeah. Yeah, I am so passionate about strong leadership and just like accepting employees as like the whole person, not just a worker bee to come and get the job done. Because it's not like we can turn ourselves off the minute we step into the workplace and be like, okay, I'm just going to be a robot and work for you 8 hours of the day. It's no, like I'm a human too. I need interaction. But for me personally, the way that I lead my team is I am fully honest and transparent with them about personally like how I'm feeling, but also I tell them I'm like you don't have to have you don't have to bring your 100% every single day. I get that, but I just need some communication. Like, hey, if you're not feeling good, if you can only give me 70% today, give me 70% today, and that's okay. But if that becomes an everyday thing, then it's, hey, are you okay? Let's talk about this. And then I do my best to create a safe space for them in multiple ways. So I have designated times for when we can have more of like personal conversations and then when we can have more business conversations. So first for our team meetings, we have a team meeting every week. And so the first half is nothing business. It's strictly catching up and how we're doing. So we have it on Tuesdays. So normally we do like an overview of our weekend or anything exciting that's happened. And each person has the same amount of time, so it's all equal. So no one feels like anyone like talked over them or whatever. Each give each other space and we respect that. And then the second half is business. So it's whatever updates I have to share with them, anything that we should be focusing on for the week. And then we end our team meetings with a quote, whether it be inspirational, motivational, whatever, but so we're all of the same mind. So that gives space for us as a team to know what's going on in each other's lives and they can share whatever as much as they're comfortable with or as little. It's whatever they want to share. But then there's also business too. So we're all on the same page about everything. But then I also have side by sides and one-on-ones with them. And side by sides are where I dedicate a certain amount of time to just be with them at their desk. And whether it's like they have a list of questions to go over, I do that. Or if they don't have anything, then I'll just sit and watch them work to make sure they're doing whatever they're doing as efficient as they can. And of course, that changes over time. They need more time up front as they're getting comfortable in the department, and they need less time as they get to be like more senior level. But then in our one-on-ones, I structure them the same as I do our team meetings. First half, personal, whatever they want to share with me, if there's anything they're uncomfortable with, if there's anything that they just want to share with me rather than the team, they totally can do that. And then the second half is business stuff. We go over their clients, we go over anything they've been working on, and then we go over any personal goals that they have or we've set together. And so I've noticed a challenge it can be with like allowing them to share more personal things or whatever they are
Yeah,
comfortable sharing,
yeah,
because then it's what's that boss employee
yeah, exactly.
line. And so I have had troubles with that before, but I am very vocal with them now and just saying like there are some things that like I just won't ask you or I won't respond to really, but you're always welcome to share it, but I want to keep this professional. And just as a little thing, like I don't follow any of them on social media. Like my page is public and I told them they can follow me if they want to, but I won't follow them back just for the
Mhm.
layer of respect there. But yeah, I really encourage them to be like vulnerable and honest with me. And I promise to do the same thing with them back. And yeah, I just love them so much. I call them my girls. They're all girls, not intentionally. That's just who mostly applies for social media
Yeah, that's
positions.
fair.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. This has been great. I love the way that you run your team, and I really love the way you look at marketing and branding and social media. Maddie, where can people learn more about you and where can people learn more about your agency?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn at Maddie Garner, and then you can follow WebMo on Instagram at WebMo_digital, and that's WEBMO, and then we're WebMo Digital Marketing on Facebook and LinkedIn as well.
Thank you so much for being on. This has been great.
Awesome! Thank you so much for having me. It was great talking with you.
Thanks. You too.